My name is Adelaide Marcus. I am a womb wisdom belly dance facilitator, and I'm extremely passionate about helping women like you feel more at home in their bodies. Today, we are going to be using movement to help generate, draw in, and activate more chi, energy, and life force into our wombs. All you'll need for today's practice is your body and your presence. So if you've got that, let's get started. All right, so to get started, we are actually going to bend the knees ever so slightly and then just do little bounces in the knees, letting that reverberate up. I like to start my practices with this, and if you want to continue with me, then you will probably be getting more bounces in your life, which basically just wakes up the whole body, moves the chi and the stagnation up the body, out the shoulders, out the fingertips, relax the head. Most importantly, what I'm trying to share here is that our knees are the shock absorbers of our body. They are like the suspension of the vehicle. So the first move, and you can keep bouncing if you'd like, the first move that I'm going to show you is the pelvis scoop, which will look like this. This move is good for drawing in and accumulating energy and chi in the womb, as we spoke about as a main focus for today's workshop or practice. So to get started with the pelvis scoop, we're going to place our feet hip distance apart and then bend your knees. I want you to feel the pelvis bowl is heavy and full of liquid or golden apples. If you did the meditation, you can imagine that golden liquid energy pouring into the womb, grounding you and making you feel more connected to the earth. The first thing we'll practice in this position is simply rocking the weight forward onto the balls of the feet and the toes, and then back onto the heels. Rocking front and back, and each time you shift your weight, see if you could kind of bend the knees a little more, as if you're going further into the ground on both the front and the back. At this point, I'm not concerned or curious about what is happening with your pelvis. This is simply a practice of switching your weight and trusting yourself to kind of keep that balance, go as far as you can to the tips of the toes and to the heels. The important thing here is that you're keeping those knees bent, and instead of feeling like a pillar on the top of the floor with your feet kind of coming off the floor or lifting, or as if you're flying upward like a helium balloon, you want to feel as if you're digging further into the ground. Each time you shift the weight, you're bending those knees, or at least remembering to keep those knees bent. The next part to the pelvis scoop is actually a tuck and a drop. Here's our lower triangle yoni mudra, and this is also helpful for the tuck. So if you had an eyeball in the middle of this triangle, you want to let that eyeball look up at the sky or at the ceiling and then drop back down into your natural arch. Most of us have a sway back. So the idea here is that you're dropping into your natural sway back and not pushing extra. We want to be developing the strength here in the lower dantian, in the second sacral chakra, which is our sensual and sexual center and our center of creativity, and also the center of our bodies. Here is where we're drawing in and releasing. So I call this a tuck, and it's a foundational move in womb wisdom belly dancing, and it also is a part of the pelvis scoop. You can also imagine that the triangle is here, just like our sacrum is a triangle here, And we're kind of flattening that triangle, imagining a wall behind you that you're getting to touch the lower spine to that wall and then release. As you're doing that, we're pulling in. So as you can see from the side, as I'm tucking, I'm lengthening and opening the lower vertebrae, and I'm pulling into my center. As I release, I'm letting my natural arch happen. So taking a few of these, we're going to add some hand gestures to complement the hip movement. As we tuck the pelvis, we're going to bring the palms up. I actually like to imagine like a string attached to my pelvic bone. So the pelvic bone is right at the point of this downward facing triangle, and I like to imagine that that point is attached to my pinky as I draw up, and then I flip the palms and I release the tuck. So I'm releasing the tuck, drawing in and up, flipping the palms, starting to feel the air beneath your fingers, relax any tension in the hands as you do this. Awesome. Some important things to note are that you do not want to be squeezing your glutes as you do this. If you squeeze your glutes, it's actually going to thrust your pelvis forward, and oftentimes it makes you want to straighten your knees. The idea is not like a thrust move, those are super fun, but the idea again is to generate and store, to draw in energy here. So if we're thrusting forward, we're actually still opened in the front, and we want to be kind of closing. Imagine like an elevator coming up and one coming down, like I was talking about in the meditation. We're compacting into here. So the motion is actually a tuck of the lower vertebrae. You can imagine like a little tail at your tailbone, tucking in between your legs and up. Keeping the glutes relaxed. If you need to, you can kind of touch your lower booty and make sure that you're able to let it jiggle, okay? If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. Let's just do a couple more tucks. This is foundational, very important. This is the anchor point where we can roam the surface of the sea. And we'll do it one more time. This time, we are going to stay tucked and feel this as a literal anchor point. I like to imagine the pelvic bone and the belly button coming towards each other and then like bungee cord hooks hooking. So there's elasticity in the movement, but we're also hooked and anchored. To go into the full scoop, we are going to revisit switching the weight front and back as we do a release of the pelvis and a tuck. So we'll start by going out of our tuck, so normal arch back, shifting the weight forward onto the toes and the balls of the feet, tucking as your knees are bent, and then bringing the weight back onto the heels, pulling and drawing in the lower belly, and then repeat. So this motion is called a scoop because it's like we are scooping with the pelvic bowl. If the pelvic bowl was like a shovel, we would be coming underneath the earth, pulling up some dirt, bringing it back over our heels, and then releasing that dirt right over your heels. Instead of thinking of dirt, I love to think about imagining picking up little gems. So there's a big pile of gems right here, and I want to get underneath them, scoop up as many as possible, keeping the knees bent, bring them back. You don't want to drop any along the way. So he's teaching you to pull in, storing that energy. Don't let it go too soon. When your weight is back, your back is nice and long, then releasing the pelvis and dropping that right over your heels. Let's flow through it. Forward, scooping. Keep the tuck and drop back. It might help you to keep your hands a little bit in front of you so that as you draw back, you feel counterbalanced You don't feel like you're gonna fall backwards. Pulling in the lower belly. This is teaching you how to find those internal muscles where the uterus is, the reproductive organs, the ovaries. And even if you've had this section of you removed, it's a way to feel connected to, again, your center. It still is the center of our bodies. So forward, and remember that to keep the knees bent. Otherwise, what often happens is as we scoop, people want to lift onto their toes because they want to feel that lifting up. But instead of the toes lifting up, it's the pelvis bowl or the triangle eyeball looking up. Knees are still bent. Let's do 3 more just like this. And of course, adopt this practice so that you don't need the video. Forward, scooping, hold, 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 hold to the back. Release one more time. Forward, tucking, keeping the knees bent. Hold, hold, hold. That's when you'll feel the lower belly working. And let's pause here. The addition we'll bring with the arms is going to be the gesture of drawing in. So if I were to invite you to come towards me, I would likely have the palm up, which is a receptive invitation gesture, and I would draw in towards me. This is clearly, don't talk to me. We are doing the opposite of don't talk to me, and we're going to pull in. So let's practice getting into an anchored position, just doing the arms, bending the knees, tucking the pelvis, lengthening the lower vertebrae so that we have more space in between each vertebrae, which actually allows more energy into the lower chakras is where we're working. The hand gesture is going to be just like the shovel gesture, coming from below, coming up, drawing in, and then dumping those imaginary jewels on the floor, shoveling some more. So you can think of these imaginary jewels, but the jewels are just a metaphor for what it is that we're drawing in. And it can simply be just drawing in energy, awareness. Have you been able to access this part of your body? Do you feel numb, hurt, broken, alive, sexual, creative? Only you can answer those questions. But here is a gesture where we're allowing ourselves to feel into that. We're bringing energy, attention, and awareness. Okay, so let's bring the hand gesture in with the pelvis scoop. Rocking the weight forward, sinking into the floor as the weight's on the ball of the feet and the toes, tucking. I like to think I'm going to win the limbo contest here because the knees are so bent. It's like you're going forward. But instead of going forward, you start to pull in, sucking in the lower belly. If you can, keep the heart open. I know, lots of little details. So I'll move to the side so we can see here. And the more comfortable you feel with this movement, the more you can adapt the imaginative elements of what is it that you're drawing in, and how receptive are you to really allowing yourself to bring that energy towards you. You get to choose what it is you're bringing in. Try going wider, forward to the point where you almost are going to fall, and back, holding. Make sure the eyeball of the triangle here, the eyeball in the center, is facing forward until you're ready to drop down and face the floor. So the eyeball's looking at the floor, looking in front of you, looking at the sky or the ceiling, back, 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 and repeat. That is our pelvis scoop. The pelvis scoop is the most important movement we're going to be going over in today's video for today's purposes of generating more chi and learning to anchor into the womb. We're going to move up the spine just a little bit to give you a taste of some different motions, but the key here is staying anchored into our womb space as we move into the upper vertebrae and bring in some more arm and hand movements. So let's do one pelvic scoop gesture to get us into our anchored home position where we'll be ending. We're going to release the pelvis, eyeball looking at the floor, bringing the weight forward, tuck the pelvis, eyeball of the triangle, looking at the ceiling, pull back, hold, 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 hold. Do not drop those precious gems. Do not spill your energy. Relax the glutes and feel that anchored position of the linked bungee cords or whatever visual helps you maintain that sturdiness. I like to even say, imagine your legs are a tree trunk and the tree trunks don't move just because the branches move. From this anchored, grounded tree trunk position, we are going to push one palm up to the heavens and one palm down in the earth. This is also a Qigong practice to help create more balance between the masculine and the feminine, the earth and the sky. It stretches out the meridians in the hands that all align and stem from the heart. Let's come back in and push the opposite way, pushing equally up and down. One more time. From here, we're going to go into what I call the Vitruvian woman. So just like you see the Vitruvian man stretching his arms and the legs out, I like to call this one the Vitruvian woman as just a reminder. We're going to stretch. We're going to stretch the fingers out nice and long, like a windmill, bringing the arms in opposite positions. So here we are, one hand's gently pushing up, one hand's pushing down. This time we don't necessarily have to push with the palms, but you can if you'd like to. We're going to come in towards the heart, palm to palm, and then we're going to extend again and do the windmill in the opposite direction. So this is the arm motion. This is really good for balancing out, like I said, masculine and feminine energies. If you have any questions about what qualities are more masculine and which are more feminine, I am happy to answer that in the comments on this video, or point you in a direction where you can get more answers. Pushing out and in. Good. We're actually going to compress here at the lower belly with the hands as a reminder to keep that gentle compression in the lower belly and in the womb space, keeping the lower back long. In the next video, we're going to actually do spine rolls up and down the spine, but for now, we're focusing on keeping the lower spine long. As I said, when we tuck, we lengthen those vertebrae. Extending, we're just going to flow through this a few times because it feels so good. Focusing on the lower dantian, second sacral, sensual, sexual, playful, creative chakra. Lovely. Next time we do this, we're going to center back at the heart. Stretching in both directions. Again, you can push to the palms if that feels nice. Bringing it to the heart, other side. Bringing it to the heart. Good. I sometimes like to bring a mudra of the middle finger and the thumb together, and then imagine you're pulling a spider web or a gooey string in two directions. As far as you can, let it go. Switch sides. So that might feel fun, and of course, it looks beautiful. Pulling. We're bringing in these mudras and these dances as a part of our own storytelling, as a part of our own ritual. Pulling. Lovely. Okay. The next thing we're going to do is, as we compress, we're going to let the heart drop. So we're actually starting to open up the upper spine just a little. And the practice, like I said before, is not so much what we're doing with the upper body, but how still can you stay in the lower body? How much can you do this staying anchored, not squeezing the glutes or your anus, as you gently compress in the chest and gently lift. Imagining like a big yawn, and then release. 2 more times. When I talk about windmill arms, it's that both hands are moving at the exact same time. So when one is parallel to the floor on the left side, it's also parallel to the floor on the right side. When one is completely lifted towards the sky, the other one is straight to the floor. When you see a windmill, you don't see it breaking into an L. So you can imagine like a broomstick. So we're reaching in equal lengths all the way up, and then of course right here we break the windmill as we compress. So let's do one more of those. Lifting the heart. This time we're going to compress, keeping the heart lifted, and then shift our energy or chi ball in the hands down to reassess how we're doing in the lower body. Push and ground those movements into the floor, making sure the knees are bent. And then we're going to do 2 scoops, 1 full scoop, and 2. On the second one, as you draw your hands in, let your middle fingers find each other, and we're going to lift the elbows, bring the thumbs together. We're going to point that triangle down towards the floor and check in to our anchored position. Congratulations. Those are all the movements that we're going to go through in this video, and now we get to put them together into a flow that you can practice whenever you'd like, and more importantly, start to gain the benefits of the practice. So we're going to start with the scoops. We'll do 2 scoops, drawing in with the palms, and on the second one, we'll be bringing the middle fingers together, lifting the elbows, creating that triangle, and pointing our attention down. That's a good opportunity to check in how you're feeling in your tree trunk legs. How rooted are you? Staying rooted. We're going to lift the arms up, letting the ribs lift, letting the solar plexus open, bringing the hands into either lotus, bringing the pinky and thumbs together, or prayer, and then drawing down to the heart, honoring the crown, the third eye, the throat. Once we get to the heart, we're going to flip the palms so one's right over the other, drawing that string out, up, windmilling the arms, coming back into the center. Twice, keeping the body in its home position, in its sturdy position, stable position. After 2 of those, we're going to explore yawning, opening the heart a little bit wider and deeper, and then letting the chest concave as we compress the energy. So a little introduction into opening the spine and the upper vertebrae 2 times. This is the second time. On the second time, we're going to have a little chi ball of energy here between the palms. Lift the chest, drop the attention down into the lower belly, pushing both hands to the floor. Repeat. 2 times. That's 1. Second time, drawing in with the palms. Find those middle fingers, find those thumbs, draw down. Check in. Is your weight over your heels? Is your ribs over your pelvis? Is your head over your ribs? We want to be in alignment. That's the moment we're checking in. Drop the hands, lift the arms, keep the shoulders dropped, lifting the hands, finding that lotus. bringing it down to the heart. I got a bug on me. There we go. Turning the palms, stretching in both directions. Release the fingers, drawing up and down. 2 times with the body long, spine erect, and then 2 times where we're lifting, opening the heart and dropping. 1, that's 1. And 2, compressing, lengthening the spine, dropping the attention to the lower womb, pushing both hands down. Hands are helping guide us and remember and remind us what moves we're doing. Number 2, scoop. We're rolling. Here we go. Drop, reach, lift, symmetrical movements. Asymmetrical movements, opposite. Lifting and dropping, stretching out to the sides, compressing. Keep the chest lifted, keep the head lifted. This time dropping the chest. Lift the heart, drop the hands, push both hands equal. And scoop. I'll turn to the side gently. Rocking the weight from the front to the back. Keep the weight onto the heels for the rest of this as we lift, weights on the heels. Lift the heart, drop the attention down. This is our nice and sturdy home position. And 1 last time, scooping. The full thing, twice. Hold the lower belly in. I know it's easy to want to let it go at the last minute, but we're holding it in. Hold, hold, hold. Release the glutes, release the anus, release anything that you don't need to keep the lower belly muscles strong, the internal muscles strong. Here we go. Vitruvian woman, stretching in all directions. Adding the chest drop, opening the spine. If you want, you could even drop the chin on these. Open, drop the chin, and then lift straight up. Head's like a helium balloon lifting towards the sky, drop. Let's do 2 scoops and then we'll end. 1 scoop, 2nd scoop, we're ending in the triangle. Let the elbows lift. Bring those thumbs together, drop here. Go ahead and close your eyes, soften the elbows. Keep the knees bent. Feel the toes relaxed. Feel the feet feeling more comfortable and confident. That they can hold you up. They can keep you strong and stable. Let's take 1 nice deep breath into this position, eyes closed. And when you're ready, gently soften your eyes as they open, relaxing the body, relaxing the hands, shake it out. Through the left leg, through the right leg. Thank you so much for joining me in this practice. I have so much more to share with you, but today's practice alone can be a pivotal shift in your life. Next time, we're going to talk about how to bring this energy that we've drawn in and generated up the spine and into our mind so that we can intellectually make the decisions and say the words that we believe in and we know to be true from our gut and our womb instincts. So I look forward to sharing that with you. Again, I'm Adelaide Marcus. Please let me know if you have any questions, comments, or wise womb insights. Until then.